Good afternoon. This is Carrie Meldon. We're here at Meldon Law and Friends. This is our weekly podcast that we've been airing since 2020. We're really lucky to have a great guest today, Charlie Delatorre. We're going to talk to him in a couple minutes. I just want to invite everybody here to listen at the end of the show. We'll be doing our announcements, all of our Gator giveaways, and all the events that we will be tabling at in the next couple months. Also, as always, we want to give a shout out to Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. This is the podcast room. As you can see behind us today, we have the helmets of all the teams that Steve Spurrier was affiliated with. It's an excellent restaurant. Everything is farm to table. If you have not been to Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, I implore every listener out there to give it a chance. We actually are giving out some gift certificates to Spurrier's as well. So continue to check out our newsletter. If you want to become a subscriber, you can reach our office at 352-373-8000, or you can go to our website, www.meldonlaw.com, and enter to apply to our monthly newsletter. It's always written. It's always sent to your door. And so this is something that we're going to talk about today is written publications, much forgotten in today's world, but I still think
Definitely.
People want tangible paper in front of them that they can look at. And so for us, we try to avoid the email blast and stick with the traditional form of written communication. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce our first guest, also a former podcast host with John Darr. This is Charlie Delatorre, president and founder of Tower Publications. Welcome, Charlie.
Thanks, Carrie. Really appreciate it. It's great to be here. I've seen you guys a bunch online, of course, and it's really nice to share some time with you guys. We're both ACRs,
yes,
right? So we were chatting a little bit about growing up here in Gainesville, and I'm from here, born and raised. This is my hometown. Lucky enough to have gone to school here and start a business here now.
We're both Hurricane graduates. We're both GHS.
We are
Purple Hurricanes.
Yeah, make sure you say the GHS part because we're not going to say like the Miami portion of that. So like
Exactly.
We're not Miami Hurricanes. We're GHS Hurricanes.
Correct.
We are. I'm a little older. I graduated a little before you, but yes, we are Purple Hurricanes together. We should definitely chat about teachers we may have had in common. That would be a fun.
Absolutely. Well, who was your principal? Do you remember?
Oh man, what was that guy? Boyd.
You had Boyd.
Dr. Boyd. Took me a minute.
My junior year, he retired. He was awesome. He wrote me an incredible letter of recommendation for college. And Dr. Boyd, for those listeners out there who may be familiar with him, he later became superintendent of Alachua County. But he was one of the great guys. I don't know if I ever heard one person say a bad word about Dan Boyd.
No, he was fantastic, and he was incredible in the school. I think everybody really loved him. Linda Aubrey was our sort of resource teacher.
She's awesome.
She was fantastic.
Yes,
and a great Facebook follow if you're not friends, which is great. But yeah, this Gainesville's home, right? And I think I was lucky enough to grow up here, go to school here at UF, and then lucky enough to stay and start a business. This is our 25th year in business now.
Unbelievable.
For Tower Publications. Yeah, I know. I don't know. I blinked. I didn't have this gray beard back then. That's for sure.
I'm there. I'm joining you. We were talking about it.
Yours is a little darker. It's upsetting me.
I don't know. I got some grays there too.
If I look at the camera, they look similar, but in person, mine looks way grayer.
Well, regardless, we're both getting there. Sooner or later. Okay,
that's true for sure. But yeah, it's been an incredible ride for us over the last 25 years. And to your point, when we started, I think Prince has had a really interesting sort of life cycle. And we're really seeing it not only, I think the magazines and the products that are still around have not only survived sort of this digital age, but we're starting to see them thrive more as people are wanting content that is locally created, locally curated, and something that isn't a phone or a tablet or a computer. There's so many constant messages that are being sent to us through those things that it's nice to grab a product and sit down,
absolutely,
and read it and
or flip through it.
And exactly,
you can't. It's hard to do that online, to flip through a magazine.
It's a totally different experience, and I think we're seeing a comeback of a lot of some advertisers that we hadn't seen for a while. We're primarily free based. All of our magazines are free. And products are free, and we're advertiser supported. So the editorial content is something that we write through our editorial department, and then the advertisers help support the magazine overall. That's kind of been our model all of these years. It's been really fun to do this in Gainesville, my hometown. Right?
Well, let's talk about Tower Publications. When was it founded?
We incorporated in the very last month of January, in December of 1999. So January 1st was our first operating day of 2000. So Y2K.
Y2K.
For those of you who don't, you don't remember that.
No, I do. I remember exactly where
real thing.
I remember where I was.
Yeah, the night it was supposed to all go down. Right?
I was at Dr. Henry Gremion, and he was a very famous ENT doctor.
Okay.
No, TMJ. He was a dentist. Actually became dean of the LSU Dental School afterwards. And I was good friends with his son, Scott. And so we were celebrating New Year's Eve at the Gremions. They always had a party.
Okay.
And they pulled out some old, I think it was Dom Perignon or some kind of fancy champagne.
Something.
And we even got to, I was in high school. I think I was a junior, but we tasted a little bit of it and nothing happened, right? Was the moral of the story is everybody was concerned. And then.
No, it was no big deal.
It was no big deal.
Right. So I remember laying awake that night going, okay, I either have a business that we just started.
Right.
Or the world has fallen apart. I'm not really sure which one.
But you were still in paper back then.
We were,
and
yes.
And it was a digital crisis.
It was a digital crisis. That's true. So we started in 2000, and we started with a product that was in Gainesville for a long time called the Buyer's Guide. Mm-hmm. It was a shopper.
I remember that.
Classified oriented. This is back when classifieds were in the newspaper, and so Buyer's Guide covered 11 counties, and that's the product that I sort of bought and took over, and then from that we were able to kind of launch various magazines over the last 20 or 25 years. Namely now is Our Town magazine, which is has 3 editions. Yep, this is a copy of our Faces issue, which you're in. Actually, you guys are in. Our Town is the area's largest direct mailed, editorially based magazine in our county. Mm-hmm. We have 3 editions. It covers the Alachua High Springs area, the Newberry and Jonesville area, and then of course Gainesville as 3 separate products. And Our Town has. Yeah, there you go.
You got Spurrier and you got Albert here.
That's right here in Celebration Point. Yeah, and Spurrier's. That's true. It was. Our Town has been a really fun product to work on, and it's very editorially based. We have about 35,000 words of original editorial content in every issue.
I mean, it's a thick magazine. It's substantial.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah, it really is, and it's beautiful.
Kudos to our. Thank you. Kudos to our. I was just going to say that. Kudos to our writers and our photographers and all of our designers who kind of do all the work behind the scenes. They're sort of the unsung hero, I think, of the way these products look and how much work goes into doing that. So primarily we publish Our Town here locally. Mm-hmm. We publish a partnership with I think the things that I think most people recognize us for now is the Parade of Homes publication that's a partnership with the Builders Association here in town. Mm-hmm. And then our most recent acquisition, which is Guide to Greater Gainesville, a product that is an annual publication.
This one right here.
Yeah. This year's book. This is an annual publication that's really been the premier visitors guide, relocation guide, community guide, partnership with chambers in Alachua and Newberry and Jonesville, and of course here in Gainesville, and Visit Gainesville, and a way to sort of produce a book that we can give to recruiters and for economic development, and really to showcase the things that are happening all around the greater Gainesville area.
And it's an actual book. It's not just like a stapled pamphlet. This is a professionally bound, very substantial magazine.
It is, and it's been around for a few years. It's been around. We're working on its 10th anniversary issue. We just acquired this book from a local publisher who'd started this in Scott Costello. He's been around for a long time.
Everyone knows Scott.
Yep, everybody does. And Scott did a great job with this book, and we were lucky enough to kind of take it over starting here in January, and looking forward to kind of introducing Guide to the Tower family.
So I guess the first question is, what's considered Greater Gainesville? Because I've always been interested in that.
I think the answer to that is Alachua County as a whole.
Okay.
So we look at High Springs, Alachua, Newberry, Jonesville, Waldo, Micanopy, Gainesville. That's kind of your greater Gainesville area.
Which has blown up in the past 10, 15 years.
I guarantee to have missed somebody and we'll get 5 emails. So
Lacrosse.
Thanks for setting me. Yeah, you set me up, man. I'm sure, yes, Lacrosse is in there too, I guess. I got set up and I failed.
No.
But that's kind of the greater Gainesville area, I think, is with Gainesville sort of being the hub. But there's so much activity happening in towns like Alachua, Williston, exactly.
Everything,
High Springs, Newberry, in particular. You know that area is. I've lived in the Jonesville area for most of the last 20 years, and that area has just changed so much.
Yep.
And it's fun to kind of cover those things. And Guide, I think, does a really good job. Where Our Town is a bi-monthly published schedule. It comes out every 2 months. Is really more about what's happening in the community on a regular daily basis, and the people and the places and the things that make sort of our towns and our communities unique. Guide is really designed to be a showcase of UF and Santa Fe. These are partners and collaborators that Scott's worked with for years that we'll be continuing to work with. The chambers and of course all these towns that are really changing the landscape of what we do here, from Tech City to everything happening in Newberry. Guide really takes those things, showcases it in a way that recruiters and businesses can then send to potential candidates to come to Gainesville when they're thinking about coming to town.
Absolutely.
UF in particular, like I said, in Santa Fe. So, and Guide's an annual. So we've got to have the community magazine in Our Town covered. So if you want to know what's happening in your community this weekend, Our Town is a great fit. If you want to know what's happening in our community as a economic development, as a visitor, as a potential relocation, Guide is an awesome opportunity there. So,
and this is great for us because we're very, very much a community-based firm, and a lot of it is just communication.
Yeah.
Right. And there's no better form of communication than print.
You guys have, and I will say, and to those of you listening, you guys have been great partners of ours over the years. We do a couple of other things in the community events that I'm sure we'll talk about in a little while, but the law firm has been big supporters of ours, of events that we've produced and things that we do in town. And you guys are a local firm. I think that's but local firm with, I think, much larger reach than just that. So it's kind of a fun partnership there.
We are Gainesville centric. And so for us, what honestly, this is Jeffrey's real philosophy. If you were talking about how you got to know him at the Heart Ball, which is one of the things that he's very, the American Cancer Society, and making sure that we're giving back, especially at this point as we grow, it has to be genuine, and he's always really wanted to be part of the community. And I think the thing he loves most about growing the firm is that it just allows us to spend more time and meet more people, and be able to, when we go through Our Town magazine, we look at the faces. There's some really accomplished, really incredible business owners and other people in this city that don't really get recognition. They're living their lives, and you don't really know what's going on until you take the time to thumb through the articles, and you can say, that's pretty cool.
Exactly.
And then I could tell you right now, I have not met anyone that's not in this magazine that's not approachable. Meaning that if you want to go in there, meet the person that you're reading about and say, hi, I'm Will Johnson. I need to have a roof fixed. I heard you do roofs, right? And then they can come and they can help you out. And then all of a sudden you've met someone that you cares about the community, because everyone in this magazine really is trying to give back.
Yeah, I think, I really appreciate you saying that. And I think that is a testament to the people in our town, right? Mm-hmm. I'm a local guy, so I look at things through a local lens, right? But I'm proud of that, and I think a lot of us are that way in this town. And I think that their participation in advertising and being a part of our town over the years speaks to that exact issue that says, yes, we're in business. We're all here these businesses are here to make a living and enjoy their families and enjoy the businesses they produce, but they're also a fabric. Together, they kind of create the fabric of kind of what is our community. Right. It's way more than just one thing. It's way more than just the Gators. It's way more than just Alachua. It's way more than just, but together, a lot of them that do participate in our publication, issue in and issue out for years and years and years, are committed to making our towns better. Yes. And so I think that you're right. To your point, I don't want to name her. I don't want to name her necessarily, but we had a estate planning attorney who was in, and she was like, I don't know, should I be in this and should I not? And she decided to do it, and she called one day and was like, well, I really did it just to see. And she's like, I've received so much feedback from people who didn't realize that I was in town or didn't realize that I did this. And to your point, she didn't place the ad to get business off of it necessarily. It was more of a branding, name recognition thing, and it worked exactly for her in that regard. So
when you talk about branding, and this is for people out here who may be on the fence of deciding whether they want to start advertising either in magazines or some other form of media, One of the things I can tell you, and I'm in the legal industry, as you probably can tell, is extremely hyper competitive. You see the TV commercials one after another after another. It gives you a headache. Trust me, it gives us one too. Billboards, everything like that. We've been practicing. My grandfather started in 1950. My father started in 1971. I started in 2005. We weren't really a big advertising firm until we joined up with the Gators, and we just wanted to practice law, right?
Right.
But what we've realized is it's not the best lawyers that get the best cases. It's the best known lawyers that get the best cases. So for us to be able to handle the best cases, we had to become better known.
Right.
And the way you do that is through, investing in our town or advertising in the guide to Gator Gainesville, excuse me, tongue-tied, or doing whatever you need to do to make sure that they know what you do and that you're still around, right? Because Jeffrey's been doing it. He's 80 years old. He's been doing it since 71. Yeah. When he first moved to Gainesville, he came with business cards because it was illegal to advertise for lawyers until late 1970s. There was a U.S. Supreme Court case that said that they were allowed to, but he was just handing out business cards to everybody, and he built a great firm in the 70s through word of mouth. Now, obviously, things are a lot different now.
Sure.
But what happens is these great lawyers, no one knows whether they're practicing or not anymore because they're not advertising. So when you tell me the estate lawyer, who we won't name, said, I cannot believe I got the feedback I got from advertising in your magazine, that resonates with me.
Yeah, totally.
Because I know that that's the truth. So not only what you're doing is entertainment for people who are picking up the magazine, but it's also helping local business people survive, because there's not much medium like this that is out there that you can really dig into and see.
That's a really interesting point. I did not expect to get into like a marketing conversation as it relates to this. This is kind of fun. Yeah. I told you that we were chatting earlier before we started, but this is what I do, right? I'm into marketing and advertising and building brands and building awareness.
Brands.
And things.
Brand building is huge.
Huge. And so I do it through the pages of our publication, and I believe in that. And we build all these products. This is a little hokey, but we build all these products basically on these 3 C's of content, circulation, and cost. Right. And magazines and print can still be very, very viable if the content is really good. The editorial content is actually great content. Mm-hmm. The circulation is large enough to where a lot of eyeballs get to see it, and then the cost is affordable so that the average everyday customer can run.
Which is free.
Right. Right. The magazine is free for the reader. The advertising has to be affordable so the advertiser can keep running. Right. But to your point, like, I think what worked for the estate planning, but she's getting some airtime too, so that the estate planning attorney, or what might work for you guys, or what might work for a lot of the businesses that advertise with us that don't really advertise anywhere else, because it's affordable and they can run it for a long period of time for the success that it works for them.
It stays on the street
for years. Right,
sometimes.
There's reason for you to keep it around. But also, I think people have learned to trust our content to be authentic editorial. Yeah. And so to your point, I think part of, and I don't mean to speak for Jeffrey because he's not in the room, but
you can speak for me.
I can. Okay, cool.
I
you can, right?
Yeah, I can consent to that.
I think part of what has made you guys so successful is your authenticity.
Right.
So I think
he is. Yeah.
He is who he is. And when you meet him, and when I got to hang out with him at that Hartball dinner,
there's no
he
facade.
He was the same guy that you see. And I think
for better or for worse, mostly for better.
I think it's all for the better, because that's your true self, right? And so I think that shows through in our town a little bit, is the ability to be representative of our community, right? And I know it sounds a little hokey. Listen, at the end of the day, we're a publication, and I don't want to get too hokey about it, but it means a lot. We've been doing this for a long time, and our community matters, and we love to showcase those things through the pages of our magazines.
One of the things that you're going to find out if you do, and I am not getting paid to advertise for our
He's
town,
really not, actually.
to Greater Gainesville, but one of the things that you do is as you start, and you mentioned this, as you start to build a brand,
yes.
Right? What happens is with Google and now with ChatGPT, they're only going to give the consumer one answer. So if they say, what's the best local magazine in Gainesville, they're going to give you one answer. What you want the answer to be is obviously Our Town or Guide to Gator Gainesville, right? If they are asking Siri or ChatGPT, what's the best law firm in Gainesville, they're going to give one answer, and we hope it's going to be us. Well, we can't control what Siri will do or what Google will do or what Chat GPT will do.
Right.
But what we can control is if we brand well enough and the people that are advertising in your magazines brand well enough, we want the consumer to say, call Meldon Law to the phone, or find me Meldon Law in Gainesville. Because if you're looking for that particular firm, then the Google or ChatGPT will give them the information they need to contact with us. And that's what brand really is. It's not just having your name out there. It's about touching people where they're looking for you. How many people, do you remember who your doctor was 5 years ago? You probably do, but a lot of people don't.
A lot of people do not. You're right. No, actually, and my doctor quit.
Right. Do you remember?
Not because of me, but my doctor totally quit. She was like, I don't want to do this anymore.
Mine did too last year, okay?
Really?
Yeah, and I don't remember my doctor before that, okay? And so if you can't remember your last doctor, how are you supposed to remember your last lawyer, your last plumber, your last electrician?
This is exactly why I think the branding is so important regardless of what you do, but the relationship matters so much.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned, you're affiliated with the Gators, you're affiliated with a hometown team, you're affiliated with Gainesville in particular. You grew up here, went to school here. Those relationships matter because at the end of the day, when you're in a pinch and you need an answer for a question and Google doesn't give it to you or you don't find it right away online, it's the relationship that you built over years that you go, I'm going to call this person and they'll be able to help point me in the right direction.
I can't.
We do it every day.
I call judges, I call lawyers, I call police officers, I call anybody.
Yeah.
Sometimes they can help, sometimes they
can't.
But the point is if someone calls me, I always want to at least try to point them in the right direction. If I can't help them, I want to say, okay, I want to get you with someone that can.
Yeah.
And if I can't, I can't. But I think one of the things as we get bigger, we want to make sure, and I'm sure you're the same way, is that people will contact you personally if they need to talk to you, right? It's like people say, I thought you were too busy. The word too busy doesn't exist in my vocabulary. I might be preoccupied.
Right.
Whether I'm doing a podcast or doing something. That doesn't mean I'm too busy for you. It just means I might just be doing something else at that moment.
100%.
And so I think eliminating that verb, or busy is something that is
what's interesting about that too, and not to cut across you there, but I think what makes so much sense about that is these are all these marketing efforts, whether they're in online or in print or in radio or television or whatever media mix you're participating for your business, you're really just hoping that somebody does that reach out.
Right.
You're trying to give them a reason to start that conversation so that they can realize that you're a good choice for them. And so that's where I think you guys have been able to convert that over the years, is that sincerity, that authenticity. These businesses that have been around Gainesville for so long is we're finding new ways to try to get new clients all the time so that we can grow our business.
Yeah.
But it's really about, hey, we're just asking you to find a way to, we're trying to find a way to start a conversation. Then you can buy us for why you're really buying us, whether you're a restaurant or a law firm or a doctor, I guess, because you mentioned that. But, we're really just trying to find ways to start conversations, and that happens in our town a bunch. So,
and it's funny, the last thing I will say about advertising in print publication like Guide to Greater Gainesville, Greater Gainesville, excuse me, a little tongue-tied today, in our town, is that it creates referral relationships. 71% of our cases last year came from referrals.
Wow.
So even though we advertise a lot, the overwhelming majority of our cases,
two-thirds of it come
from referrals from people, either former clients, friends, family, other lawyers, other judges, other law enforcement officers refer us cases. Like whoever's in the industry will refer us cases, and part of that is because they get to know who we are, and because we're all over the place. And then at Publix, for example, I know my butcher and I know the person who cooks my seafood.
Yeah, exactly.
I won't put their name out there today.
Yeah, right.
I'll ask them next time, and I'll
right,
shout them out in
right,
Publix. But the fact is that because of the branding, I get to know so many more people than I otherwise would have known. Now, you can always strike up a conversation with anybody, but things are a little bit different. When we were growing up, I always told people when I was in undergrad over in Virginia, it was the first time I had not lived in Gainesville. And I remember thinking it was weird when I was walking down sidewalks. This is in the mid-'90s.
Okay.
This is before the iPhone and before all that. I didn't even have a cell phone then.
Right.
But even back then in Virginia, people wouldn't look you in the eye when you were walking across from them on the sidewalk, and I remember that struck me. That was like one of the things that resonated with me, because in Gainesville, I always remember everyone, saying hello, friendly. It was just overly friendly. Like when we weren't looking at our phones. We were walking. We were engaging, visually with people.
You're dangerously close to sound like we're a bunch of old guys sitting around going, like back in my day.
No,
but it's true.
It's true.
I know. And that's the worst part.
We've been through both sides of it, right? Because I was in law school when I got my cell phone, and then I was able to kind of figure that out too. But when you're talking about our town, when you're talking about the publications that you're in charge of, what you're really talking about is, getting to know people, and really you're putting the face and you're putting the story there.
Yeah.
So it's almost like you're creating that relationship with this local individual. So hopefully when you do walk by them on the sidewalk,
you do know them a little bit.
You do know them, and you can say, "Hey, Carrie,
I
saw you."
It happens, right? It happens
in the magazine all the time.
I know it happens. I think that absolutely, and to your point, I think that's exactly what we're trying to do is build. We're really trying to showcase those communities, our community within the pages of our magazine. That's a big part of what we do. We're there to try to showcase the best of us, the best stories of us, the best parts of our communities. The High Springs Alachua edition will be different than the Newberry and Jonesville book. Will be different than the Gainesville book, because there are things happening within our communities that are unique to those places, and then we have shared pages, obviously, to share content. To that point, I think. One of the things that some people might know us by, and you might, I know that you participated in this last year or last few years, is we created this Community Choice Award program called Our Town Favorites. And we really launched Our Town Favorites because I saw a need in our community, and there's a couple of other best of sort of contests in town. So I'm not trying to disparage anybody else, but I loved our model because where Our Town is a community-oriented publication, Our Town Favorites is a Community Choice Award. You didn't have to be an advertiser of ours to win. You didn't have to spend any money for you to vote for your favorite seafood restaurant, or your favorite place to get a pizza, or a place to get a taco, or your favorite lawyer.
Right.
This is just an opinion. This is not, you may not be the best of, but you're my favorite. And I felt like that mattered a whole lot, and it offered us an opportunity to open these Community Choice Awards to people outside of just our advertiser. So this is a completely free platform. Anybody can vote. Last year was our 4th year doing it. Started at COVID, which we picked the totally wrong time to start something like this. But it did, and it was wild. I have funny stories about that. But last year was our 4th year, and we had 165,000 votes.
That's gosh.
It was wild.
That is wild.
And we had our first ever event.
How many people are in Gainesville, in Greater Gainesville?
It was crazy, the response that we got out of it. We had our first live event where we announced the winners live at the Best Western Hotel. It was standing room only, packed room of 400 or 500 people. I think past events for other sort of platforms were very black tie and $1,000 tables, and it was a money making opportunity. And I'm here to make money, so don't get me wrong, okay?
Sure.
But I also thought, let's throw a free party where we can celebrate the community and give Our Town Favorite Awards out.
When's this party coming this year?
It's going to be in July again. It'll be Our Town voting. The favorites voting starts, I think, April and May, and then we have some time in June to put some stuff in Our Town, and then we have the party in July.
Well, let's get the voters started up.
It was fun, man. OurTownFavorites.com is a website that you can go to now, see all the winners from last year. Our Town Favorites has been a lot of fun, and it's really cool. If you win, if you're a finalist, we have 3 finalists in each category, and it's really fun to see the logo. We give you the logo to use any way you want to. So we'll give you the logo pack. If you're a winner, we'll give you a little certificate to hang in your office at no charge. It's advertiser sponsored, so we'll go to sponsors and say, hey, will you sponsor this event? And this helps pay for this contest. And then, but it's nice to see AC trucks drive by with an Our Town Favorite logo, celebrating the fact that they're a favorite for 3 years in a row, or a roofer, or Spurrier's, for example, who won multiple categories, craft cocktail, I think, and American food, and a couple of other categories. It's nice to be able to walk in and know that they're an Our Town Favorite. So it's become a real cool Community Choice Award. It's been fun.
And I see some other events that you're doing is the Home and Garden Show.
Yeah. Okay. So this was, yes. So again, the events that we do we try to make them very community oriented, very community centric. Do you remember growing up, there was the the Home and Garden show in the O'Connell
Absolutely.
Center?
Yes, I do. Yeah, I never went, but I remember hearing about it. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was in town for 20 years.
Right.
And then COVID sort of ended that, as well as a few other things. The O'Connell Center went through a major renovation, which made it a fantastic basketball arena, right? But not so great for expos.
Correct.
And so right here, actually in Celebration Point, they built a brand new sports and event center. The Alachua County did. That's run with Celebration Point and run through with Rad Sports. And we were waiting for that facility to be built for us to bring the Home and Garden show back.
Okay.
And last year, 2024, was the first time in 5 years that we brought and we renamed it to the Our Town Home and Garden Show. It was awesome.
Yeah.
We had so much fun. We had, I don't know, 4,000 people come through the event.
I remember.
We had 131 unique businesses participate, from roofers and plumbers, electricians, and hot tubs and pools. And
I think we were.
you guys were a one of our sponsors for the event.
We had a tent set up.
Josh was in there spinning the wheel, handing out stuff.
Oh yeah,
and,
I stopped by and hung out for a little bit. It's a great event. And I saw my old buddy Tyler Riles. He was there.
Yeah, from Jackson Stoneworks.
Yep. Yeah, they were.
Of course,
they were doing their thing, and
when I worked
Eli
so tirelessly
with Worthman Roofing,
yes,
so
of course
they got all the old
the crew,
the crew there,
the ACR guys.
Yeah.
Well, and it's funny. I worked on that for so long that when you say those names, I can imagine the map, the floor plan, and I can tell you exactly where Jackson was. I can tell you where Worthman was on the map.
Sure.
But it was great, and we brought together a bunch of media outlets to help promote the event. It resulted in several $1 million worth of closed business for our local businesses in terms of roofers and sheds and kitchen remodelers, and it was great. And we are excited to bring it back this year.
It's easy. There's parking. It's not a hassle to go to. It's a very consumer friendly event.
Absolutely. So
not a lot of heavy pushing.
The way there's a few things that I think matter a lot for the person potentially coming to the event. I'm not on Celebration Point's payroll, like you said earlier. But they are.
Not either.
They built the county in particular built a beautiful facility here. Yep. And there's amazing parking that's very easily located right off the facility, and it's right off I-75.
Correct.
So it's easy on, easy off. The O'Connell Center, which I love dearly, been there a million times. Hard to park, difficult for vendors for setting up. It can be for this kind of a trade show expo. This facility is just state of the art. It's perfect, and we were able to take advantage of that space. This year's show is August 23rd and 24th.
Excellent.
So I think we found a magical little weekend. It's after fall.
Right
school starts.
Right before the Gators start.
Right. When does fall in Gainesville starts? When school starts.
Yeah.
Right. Your kids are in school.
I like to say the first home game, but yeah.
Okay, I'm with you. Right. And that's typically my birthday, end of August, beginning of September kind of situation. Fall usually starts in Gainesville when Alachua and Marion County schools go back to school, when UF is back in session. Fall has begun. It may not be fall anywhere else in the world, but it is in Gainesville.
It is.
And so
it feels like summer, but it's
still
fall.
hot. Yeah. This weekend is just before Labor Day, just before the first Gator football game, so we don't have to contend or worry about. I'm the biggest fan there is, so I don't want to also pull my attention away. Yes. This is the weekend just before that, but after school has started and fall has kind of begun. So we're really looking forward to it. There's a lot of vendors who participate in.
If you want to go there for 15 minutes, it's worth it. If you want to go there for 1.5 hours or 2 hours, it's worth it. However you want to do it. It's worth checking out. It's very easy going.
It is. It's the very low barrier to entry. The ticket's $5 to get in. And actually, our partnership with the Builders Association for this event, for the home show, is also with the Builders Association. That money goes to them, the ticket price does, and it helps for them to fund programs for people to get into the trades programs, electricians.
You'll get $50 worth of swag just
walking
through. So
you'll
be fine. We'll make sure of that.
You do get a lot of swag. Yeah, our sponsors are great about offering tons of swag and giveaways and things like that.
So it's actually $5 for.
But if you're thinking of doing any kind of home remodeling project, whether it's landscaping, or you need a new roof, or you're thinking about getting solar, or you're thinking about redoing a bathroom, or you need new flooring, or the list goes on and on and on, dude.
Sound ideas, they were out there. Someone was trying to sell me their TV monitor out there as I was walking out. I'm like, I'm not buying. It was A former radio guy, you know him.
Oh, Tom Collette, maybe.
Tom Collette.
Oh, yeah.
Tom was
yes,
trying to
with
sell
Electronics
me.
World.
Yeah,
yes.
That's what it was.
Yes,
it was
yes,
like a couple
yes.
ideas. I don't know. I was walking out. He's like, "Carrie, buy this TV," and I almost did. I'm like, "Tom, you're way too good of a salesperson."
Yeah, fine, I'll buy it.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I didn't. Thank God. But
Well, we had consumers buy hot tubs for their backyard. Pinch a Penny
Yeah.
was one of our
Yeah.
premier gold sponsors. They sold tubs, and we had a company that brought those giant massage chairs, and they sold massage chairs,
Yeah.
and we had.
It's cool. It's everything.
It's a lot
I
of
could have
fun.
bought everything. I live in a condo on top of Dragonfly, so I can't. So I didn't. I wasn't in the.
You're not in the massage
market.
chair.
I was in the market for a hot
pool?
tub.
You know.
But if
That's
I
funny.
had been, then I definitely would have bought a. I would have looked into it.
It is really cool. I mean, I love, again, back to our focus, right? The idea of building a community event. The Home and Garden Show brought together the best
Great
of
event.
not just our local vendors, but we had national, state, regional, and national vendors there, from Renewal by Anderson for window replacement to garage door companies, and home automation is a big issue right now. So we had some electricians there with home automation stuff to make smart homes. It was cool, and I had never done anything like that before. But what I had done is brought community businesses together, and this was just another we didn't do it in a magazine, we did it in a room.
Yeah.
So we did it in the Home and Garden Show, and GainesvilleHomeandGarden.com have the dates. It has information on where you can buy tickets, and it's a great opportunity. We had, I think what was kind of cool, we had vendors, not vendors, we had local businesses buy ticket packs to give to their employees and to their customers as a thank you, and to go to the event. So that was kind of a cool.
Yeah, and it was great. It was crowded. It was crowded enough that you can tell that there was, the vendors were happy to be there.
Yeah.
But it was still easily. Everything was easily accessible, so you can just walk through, and you could spend 15 minutes there. You could spend 1.5 hours there. Like either way,
easily,
or maybe even more. Right?
Yeah.
Like it's really worth checking out, because you might find that one vendor, and then everything will open up. You'll be like, okay, that's what I maybe I don't even know I needed it.
Yeah, I think that happened. I heard people saying things like, I have this idea to renovate my backyard, and then there was a couple of landscape companies there that can help them with that. I'm not quite ready to do it yet, but I have an idea of what I want. They were happy to get together and work out a sketch with them so that they have it in their back pocket for when they're ready to pull the trigger. It was fun, but our town favorites, and things like the Home and Garden Show. These are just examples of ways that we try to bring our community together outside of just our magazines.
Well, what I want to do, because we're running late on time here, but I want to make sure we're able to focus on, first of all, how do people are able to advertise in our town and guide to Greater Gainesville, and where are consumers able to pick up a copy?
Sure. Well, thanks for that. It's a great opportunity to chat a little bit. First of all, you can go to any of our websites. So towerpublications.com, I think, is a great opportunity. Guide to greatergainesville.com is another one. Of course, any of the ones that I mentioned are townfavorites.com, or you can just simply Google Our Town Magazine as well, and you'll find lots of options to find us. I think we work with all kinds of businesses, which is, I think, a fun part of what we do. I work with people who have a small little retail shop in Thornbrook that don't have a lot of budget, to UF Health and HCA, which are giant partners of ours who want to be part of the community, and everybody in between. So I think people think to themselves, I don't have a budget for this, or I can't do that, and most times that isn't true.
Start the conversation.
We can find something that makes some sense to them, that involves them in that. So those are ways for them to reach out to us. And typically, we've been very lucky with the team that we have at Tower Publications. We've been with me we've been together for a long time, and so you'll get people who will be responsive and be able to answer your questions for you. And if it's a fit, great, and if it's not, then no hard feelings, and we kind of help you in another way.
Maybe a fit next year, or maybe you never know.
That's right. Yeah, we've been doing it for a while now. So
there's a. I said Jeffrey has some things that he does very well. One thing he's taught me is never, always take a meeting. Never just pretend know whether it's going to work out or not. Take the meeting. Even 15 minutes, you'll be able to figure out whether or not it's the right fit for you at that time.
Yep.
But even if it's not the right fit, it may be the right fit for someone that you're a friend of.
Yeah.
Or it may be the right fit for you a year from now or 2 years from now. So take the meeting, see what there is to
That's
hear.
Great.
Obviously, we all are, we talked in the break, busy. But
Yeah.
we're not really that busy.
No, this is what we do.
Yeah.
I mean, we're busy. We're busy, but this is what we do. I'm happy to work with anybody who has any interest, and I appreciate the forum and the opportunity to kind of chat.
Charlie, we appreciate you having here. I've seen your podcast. I remember watching you and John, and I know John's a hell of a golfer as well. So.
Johnny's a great golfer. Yeah, he's way. I'm there to buy the cocktails. Yeah. I'm not there to actually play golf. So if you want to have me in your foursome, I'm there for the good time part. Yes. I'm not there for the shooting. For the shots, John's the shot maker. I'll sit back and help buy the cocktails.
I had a good friend of mine, Nick Gillum, who I went to high school with, who won the UF golf championship at the NCAA golf championship at UF.
Yeah,
he was the last member of the 1996 UF golf team, I guess, or whatever, the Florida golf team that won the U.S. or the national championship. Yeah, and he was able to play the U.S. Open. Because he got an automatic qualifier because he won the actual national championship.
That's awesome.
And he was telling me John could stroke him pretty good. So,
he was a great player. Yeah. John is a great player. And so is Coach Spurrier.
Yeah.
I mean, Coach still playing a bunch, I think. So
it doesn't leave you if you're a Division I athlete like Coach Spurrier.
It doesn't leave you. You're right.
You can still,
especially the competitive drive. But yes, I appreciate the forum. Thank you so much for the chance to kind of be here and talk about what we do. And if I can help in any way, anybody who has any questions or answer, I'll be happy to help.
Absolutely. And before we go off, one last thing: is there any other guides or magazines that you want to mention other than these ones that we focus on today?
Yeah, I think not really. I mean, we do publish a variety of other sort of niche products in town and have for a long time. But I think people primarily really know us right now for Our Town magazine, the parade product that we do with the Builder Association, and then now Guide to Greater Gainesville.
And congratulations for that acquisition.
Thanks.
That's a very well-known publication.
It is, yeah.
That's going to give you some more coverage in different areas.
It's good synergy. I think that Scott saw that, we saw that. It's a good fit. But thank you, I appreciate that.
Well, Charlie, we're going to go to our announcements in a few minutes, but I want to really appreciate you for coming on.
Yeah, man. Thank you.
You're a great guest.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Go Purple Hurricanes.
Go Canes. That's right. That's right. There's some Canes out there for sure.
There's definitely. I know.
There is somebody watching who goes, I know both of these guys, and I have stories about both.
We got probably,
and I don't. Well, yeah, we don't need to share those.
I know. Principal Boyd, God bless his soul, is not watching us. But anyways,
that's right.
We're going to go ahead and finish up with some announcements. But Charlie, thank you again for coming in on Meldon Law Friends.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, bud.
Yeah, man. Thank you.
Jeffrey, what are you doing?
Well, I'm joining the band, of course. Since Meldon Law is the official law firm partner of the Florida Gators, I want to help.
Dad, we're litigators. Let's stick to helping people in the courtroom.
Well, can we still hang out and jam a little bit? At Meldon Law, we won't back down.
I was going down a one-way street and a girl that was driving her car T-boned me on my scooter. I ended up going for an MRI and discovering that I had 2 herniated discs. Coming to Carey allowed me to not have to worry about what doctor I was going to see or what physical therapist I had to go to. They say, these are the people we trust. You're going to have a great experience there. And I honestly did each time.
Call Meldon Law. Your consultation is absolutely free.
And I was in an accident. Someone ran a red light and hit me, and I was hurt. You don't know where to turn. Luckily, I called Jeffrey. These big insurance companies, they don't want you to win. They truly don't. But Jeffrey and his firm and the people that work here, they just really fight for you. You call the law offices of Jeffrey Meldon because you're going to need help, and they will help you.
Call Meldon Law right now.
Hey, Sammy, look who's there. Say hi.
Hey!
You again!
Meldon Law, Jeffrey speaking.
Jeffrey!
Somebody else!
Hit us!
Here we go again.
And to end this episode of Meldon Law and Friends, we're going to do our weekly announcements. So I'll go through them briefly. The first one is the Oldies But Goodies Car Show in Williston, January 25th from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. at Homestead Park. The next event that we will be participating in, and you guys can come out there, is the Grand View Invitational Casino Night, January 31st in Ocala. Tickets are $25 online, or you can grab them at the door for $35. That will be in Ocala under the Grandview Clydesdale Tourist Tent, situated right in the heart of the Florida Horse Park. So that's a little bit south of Ocala. Also in Lake City, there will be the Chamber of Commerce Ball on February 1st, 2025, from 5:30 p.m. until 9:30 p.m. at the Florida Gateway Fairgrounds. And finally, the Gainesville Chamber Racing Experience from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. This is the Gainesville Chamber at the Gainesville Raceway, and that will be February 11th from 5 p.m. at 8 p.m. It's where they do Gator Nationals. It's a cool event at the racetrack. I've been there many years, and so if you're heading out there and see me, come by and say hello. All right, we're done with this week's announcements at Meldon Law and Friends. As always, you can go to our Facebook or Instagram page to see our free giveaways. We really appreciate Charlie Delatorre coming on this week, and we hope to have all your audience out there reach out to him if you ever want to advertise in our town or the guide to Greater Gainesville. So with this week, we're going to say adios, and we'll see you next week at Meldon Law and Friends.